now the Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox at Mile High Roach via X. He is Alan Roach, the voice of all big spot sporting events, including home games at U.S. Bank Stadium. And Alan joins us now. What's going on there, Roachy? How are things?
Good morning, PA. Good morning, KFAN. Good morning, Rubes. Are you ready for some football?
Are you ready for some football? You've had quite the active summer, and Alan is back on the mic here Saturday for the Ravens game. Excited to see and hear you in what I believe is your 11th season voxing U.S. Bank Stadium, right?
I am the same age as the stadium itself. That was my first year, and hard to believe there's been 10 years that have flown by already, but I'm excited for 11 and many more, I hope.
Did I should remember this. You know, we called home games during 2020 with no fans. Were you bellowing in 2020 with no fans in the stadium?
Yeah. And I remember how odd and strange and unusual and weird it was then. And maybe part of that is the defense mechanism, but I hardly remember it now. Right. I mean, I don't remember how strange it was. I just remember at the time thinking how strange it was. But yeah, I did all the games at home with no fans in the stands in exactly the same way as I do it when there's 70,000 people there. It was bizarre.
Remember, or do you happen to remember any of just how disastrous that first game was against Green Bay? Because it's like with Aaron Rodgers, you need a loud crowd to throw him off on third down. And he was just giggling that there was nobody in the stands to throw him off, and he just got up and down the field on us, man. Remember that game?
You're talking about in the COVID season, and no.
Yeah, very first game.
Story. The only game I remember in the COVID season was the Jacksonville Jaguars, probably, well, I know exactly when it was. It would have been the week after Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Because at Thanksgiving in what year would that have been? 2020.
Yeah.
So at Thanksgiving, I was, quote unquote, exposed to COVID. I didn't have COVID, didn't have symptoms, but I was exposed. So I called the Vikings, told them that. They said, well, you can't come. And for that Jacksonville Jaguars game, I recorded somewhere around 140 different lines that were played out of a computer. And I did PA of that game in Minneapolis while I was sitting on my couch here in Denver.
Are you kidding me? I mean, you talk about being valuable. You're so good at what you do. In fact, you're the very best when it comes to voxing in public fashion. Talk about being valuable, man. Shoot, you're exposed to getting bit, and they still want you to number 18, Justin Jefferson, from like 1,500, 2,000 miles away. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool, and thank you for the kind words. But yeah, that was
for sure.
That's the only game that stuck out for me, and I knew how to do that and what lines to record,
right?
Because I do that for EA Sports Madden football, and I've done it for 10 years, and so I knew which lines. And in that game, there was a blocked field goal, and I think there was a safety, and I had both of those lines in there, so I was patting myself on the back for doing that. And I didn't have anything to do with the actual running of the show. Yeah. That was all done by someone sitting in U.S. Bank Stadium with a computer in front of them, 2 computers, in fact, with, 170 buttons on them, and they would just push a button, whoever would, a ball carrier, gain of 4, second down and 6. And I just sat here listening to it at home.
So great catching up with you. At Mile High Roach, Alan Roach, the voice of U.S. Bank Stadium, and he'll be back in action this Saturday when the Vikings and Ravens play the second preseason game. It's noon right here on KFAN. How was Field of Dreams last week? The Twins and the Phillies, you got to vox that.
Yeah, I was disappointed the Twins didn't play better, that Taj kind of had a tough 3 innings for sure. But outside of the game itself, what I was able to do, introduce 26 Hall of Famers, one after another, standing on the Field of Dreams, which is an amazing place It just, for whatever reason, as soon as you walk in there, you feel emotion. And to be able to announce the Hall of Famers in the pregame was one of the coolest things I've ever done. And one thing that ranks right up there with it was the very first year at Field of Dreams, 2021, I think, when Kevin Costner came walking out of the cornfield and gave a speech. That was mesmerizing. But this one was very close. It was a really cool event. Wish the Twins would have done better. Had so many Viking fans or Minnesota fans that, walked up or walked by my booth or sent notes on social media. And that means so much to me, that people realize that it's the Viking guy doing that and want to say hi. I just think that's really cool. So thank you.
You also voxed the X Games. Is that the first time you've done the X Games, and what was it like?
Yeah, X Games is stepping up their game. They have gone to a league now, so they have several events in the summer. Now they're going to have a winter league where they have 4 teams, just like they did in the summer league, and they'll have multiple events in the winter. And I really didn't know what to think, and I kind of thought at, 60 years old, X Games kind of passed me by 40 years ago. But I loved going and announcing the athletes, getting to meet a few of the athletes, and I left every event with just mad respect for what these athletes are able to accomplish, how tough they are, how good they are at what they do, and yet how just kind of regular people and they're young kids for the most part. There was an 11-year-old girl that got a gold medal in 2 of the skateboard events that I did. 11 years old. Just amazingly talented.
Roachy, Alan Roach at Mile High Roach via X. Outside of the X Games and the Field of Dreams, and now we got Vikings football coming up. What has the summer been like for you? I mean, you've been quite busy, haven't you?
Yeah, probably my busiest summer ever, which is great. There was you mentioned the X Games, the Field of Dreams. I did Major League Baseball All-Star Game in Philadelphia, which has turned into a 5-day event. The best ever home run derby for anybody that watched in July in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that was cool.
Great. And the best part of it is the Philadelphia guy got beat by the St. Louis guy who hit 6 home runs in a row to win it, and all the Philadelphia fans threw their beers on the field and went home. That was my favorite part of the weekend.
So for Philadelphia, was it Kyle Schwarber?
Yes. And the way it had come out to the end, Kyle Schwarber had, let's say he had 12 home runs. Well, so then the kid from St. Louis, I forget his name, was his last name Jordan?
Yeah.
His first name
Jordan Walker.
Anyway, he got going and he got down to his last pitch. Well, on your last pitch, if you hit a home run, you get another pitch. Well, so on his last pitch, he was 5 home runs short of Schwarber. Well, he hit 6 in a row to win and walk off Kyle Schwarber and make all the Philadelphia fans go home disappointed, and I gave a little cheer for that.
Yeah, it was Jordan Walker for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Jordan Walker. There you go.
Quite the sweet
young
swinger.
Kid and a great story from St. Louis. If you haven't watched the Home Run Derby, I'm sure it's still living on Netflix somewhere. It really was the best Home Run Derby ever. And then I did the best preseason football game ever at the Hall of Fame 2 weeks ago. That game between Carolina and Arizona. it was magnificent. It ended the last play of the game with the quarterback scrambling out of the pocket from the 5-yard line and reaching the ball across the goal line for the win as the clock expired. There weren't a lot of penalties. There weren't a lot of mistakes and turnovers. It was a really good game, and everybody left there saying that's the best preseason or best Hall of Fame game ever. Normally early on in the season like that, you're ready for kind of a circus and a bunch of nonsense, but it was a great game.
Roachy, Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox. When do you start working on the Ravens names? They're pretty easy. They have a CJ, then Okoye, Okoye. No relation to the Nigerian Nightmare, Christian Okoye. But like, when do you start taking a peek at names for the game this weekend?
I'm actually sitting here right now doing just that. I got the flip card from the Vikings PR yesterday, and I'm sitting here making my sheets and picking out all my perfect colored font for the Minnesota Vikings. I'll have a new Vikings font this year for my roster cards. I'm very excited.
Oh, I see the Ravens have that corner who used to play for the Lions. Man, like the day before and or day of the game, I would sit there going, Oru Warrior, Oru Warrior, Oru Warrior. That's a difficult one. They got a quarterback, Finn Yano. That's going to be very important. And it's a lot of fun, man. So that look forward to seeing you this weekend. Are you? What excites you about the season? Green Bay is here 3 weeks from Sunday. So, I mean, it's just creeping up on us. What excites you about the squad?
Yeah, it goes so fast. I mean, everything does, and it's the unknown, I guess. And you can be afraid of the unknown, or you can cherish the unknown. And I choose to cherish the unknown. And the unknown is what's going to happen at the quarterback position. What are we going to get? Are we going to get too many arm punts? Or are we going to get too many not knowing where the ball should go? Or are we going to get a quarterback that gains a second and a half by scrambling a few steps, which gives Justin Jefferson a second and a half to beat the pants off of anybody trying to cover him? And we see a lot of 40-yard gains down the field. I'm very excited. I'll be honest, I was not excited with the Kyler Murray signing, much like, the Sam Darnold thing a couple of years ago. You're like,
right,
okay, really? So that's where we're headed? But now that, it's here and he's on the field and it's getting closer, I choose to be positive about the whole thing, and I'm really excited. And, who knows where it goes? I know where I want it to go.
Right. I mean, we have some cool new things. I mean, I'm with you on Kyler. I mean, when they signed Kyler, I was like, okay. I mean, he's thrown punts for passes when he's gotten in trouble, and then you start to learn more about him, learn more about the situation from which he comes, which is not the situation here. And then you kind of learn that, the A topic of the offseason is pulling coverage from Jefferson, getting those doubles and triples off Justin. In that Giants preseason game, Roachy, the first drive, they went for 54 yards, got a field goal. 44 of it was on the ground. Jones had pop. Mason had pop. The Michigan rookie Bredesen was blocking the right guys. So that kind of opened the eyes and the minds for what they want to do with this newfangled running game. And this really excites me, this part about Kyler Murray, is being at all these training camp practices that I come to, and I'll even watch some walkthroughs. They never run Kyler when people are in the stands and they're videotaping and putting it on social media, which indicates to me there are some things coming with Kyler Murray's legs that we have not seen because we're not privy to seeing everything. So, if the running game with the running backs and the wide zone scheme, okay, that's cool. Let's get that going. Maybe that pulls people from Justin. But if the quarterback runs efficiently and doesn't get hurt with that run, because he's so naturally gifted at it, with the running game, go ahead and pick your poison, man. If you want to double 18, then you better make sure you got that run defense squared away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's exactly what I thought of as soon as you started talking was, and we did look good in the preseason in 7 plays or whatever it is and running the ball. But we didn't even include the guy who runs a 4-point-whatever-40 who could very well be very much involved in that running game. And that costs assets on the defense. You got to put guys on the field that are going to be aware of that. Well, now you start throwing the ball over those guys' heads. So, there's all sorts of things that can come together. And, again, I think it all goes back to trusting the leadership at the top, and that's Kevin O'Connell. And I have never liked a head coach in any sport, in any manner before the way Kevin O'Connell deals with you on a weekly basis and talks with you. The way Kevin O'Connell talks with the media. He is such a great sounding individual. I can only imagine that he is a great individual, and I have full faith in Kevin O'Connell, and let's bring this thing home before I die, huh?
Yeah, to be able to have O'Connell during the football season, Chris Finch, John Hines during hockey and basketball, specifically Finchy and Kevin, because I've just gotten to know them off the microphone so well. 9 to noon, super blessed to have authentic, genuine people like that join weekly, and they're both incredibly good at what they do, just like you. And we can't wait to see you and hear you this weekend at the Palatial Purple Paradise, Voxing as the Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox, Vikings and Ravens. Have a great day, and we'll catch up before that Packers game, okay?
Yeah, and let me just add one little thing, PA, for the listeners that, listen to you every day or once a week or whatever it is. What you just talked about, you having those relationships and having those head coaches on, and as candid as they talk with you every week, that happens almost nowhere else. I have 33 years of radio experience in my background. I know what that stuff is all about. And the way the coaches talk with you and open up to you is something that Minnesota sports fans have to look at and say, we're one of the few radio stations in the country that can get this kind of content from head coaches. It's because of UPA. So cheers to you and Skol.
Roach, you're very kind. God bless you and your family, man, and we'll catch up down the road. I'll see you Saturday, okay?
Let's go, Mike.
See you, bud. Alan Roach at Mile High Roach. Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to U.S. Bank Stadium. Yeah, he's that guy. He's the bomb. And when we return, we're going to add a guest to the equation. Kyle Youmans is the new radio play-by-play voice for the Baltimore Ravens, and he joins us next.
You're listening to PA, live from training camp on The Fan, presented by the Minnesota Sports and
Kyle Youmans is the new play-by-play voice for the Baltimore Ravens, and he stopped by the exclusive Vikings Radio Network perch. We had him on the radio show a few weeks ago or a month ago. Can't exactly remember why, but now he's here. Oh yeah, because it was just to welcome you to the NFL. And when we chatted, it's you came from Texas. Mm-hmm. Was it the Dallas area?
It was.
Okay, and I caught you at kind of a frenzy time where you had just been announced as the Vox for the Ravens, and your family was still en route from Texas, and you were trying to get settled and everything. How are things going for you?
It's great. And first off, let me say this is my first time at the Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. This is incredible.
Yeah, it's as good as it gets.
Your perch is beautiful.
Yep.
Fans are already filing in. This is really special. So
right on, brother.
Thanks for having me. But yeah,
great place to watch practice too, by the way, if you're interested.
I might.
So see, they bring the second table here.
Yeah.
And that's where we get the rosters. You can put stuff on it so it doesn't blow away, and you can get a full panoramic spectrum.
See, they treat you like a king up here.
To memorize numbers and stuff like that to get ready for, this weekend.
I may have to do that.
Of course, it'll be Kyler versus Lamar. I mean, to get ready for Huntley and McCarthy and Wentz and what is it, Fignano? Something like that.
He played well last week, so I'm excited to see him again. But going back to your original question there, the family, it's funny. Family is still in Texas. So me and my wife have triplets. And
that's right.
We're trying to sell our house in Dallas, and that's been a whole process in its own right. And the travel with training camp and trying to establish myself with the team and get to learn and network and kind of be around everybody has been a process too. So we decided, hey, let's pull as long as we can possible between moving physically up to Baltimore and then having everybody together. But I've already got the apartment set up. We're all moved in.
Good for you.
Ready. If they wanted to come up tomorrow, they could, which would be great. But right now it's all about football, eat, sleep, breathe football, and then making sure that they're taken care of down in Waco, or down in Dallas, rather, as much as possible.
Now you've called multiple sports for radio and TV, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you met your wife through the business, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so had you ever called an NFL preseason game where you got 180 players?
Yeah, so that was actually my first play-by-play reps with the Cowboys. Whenever I was working with them for the last 7 seasons, I wouldn't get radio in season because Brad Sham never missed a game. He's the legendary voice of the Cowboys.
Yep.
He's missed 4 games through his 43 years. And then you turn around and he's doing radio, but they split up their radio and TV. So when I started giving interest to the Cowboys and showing interest in play-by-play, they were so gracious in letting me call a couple of the preseason games for the TV broadcast.
That's sweet.
So it was good to get back. I hadn't called one since 2023, so it'd been a couple of years. And then when we called the opener last week against Philadelphia, that was definitely an adjustment process,
right?
Because it was simulcasting too, so I did TV and radio.
That's what we do,
and it's harder than I thought it would be, in the moment, because my radio and my TV are so different. But it was
because
really
you got
fun.
Radio people in your ear, being Paul. Describe outside the numbers, turns it up, heads here.
No plan.
So, I've done this as long as I have, where I know each other so well that, like Chad Abbott, the program director or executive producer of the Vikings Audio Network, he'll be like, Vox, come on. Can we get a little more description? So, of course, the next one will be McCarthy, Fleming. You know what I mean? Total. Now this is Nordo, producer Eric Nordquist. Excited when he saw you, and he's going to handle a couple of Ravens questions here. What do you got?
Wow. Okay.
Well, I got to know just how big CJ Okoye is in person. At 6'6", 370 pounds. The big thing for the Ravens, I look at it from afar, Kyle, is this is a team that struggled defensively. There were some health factors involved in that. But all these big bodies are back. Like, what excites you specifically defensively about healthy guys being back in the mix and people we'll be seeing here?
Yeah, it's going to be playmakers at all 3 levels, which is what's exciting about the Ravens specifically. And you talk about the size element, Okoye. You've got Calais Campbell back in the fold.
Yeah,
That's a big body up front. Travis Jones is off of the PUP list. He's another big body in the middle. I mean, this is a physically imposing defense, and It's guys that, like, when you're in high school and your college.
Well, and your quarterback's a monster, too.
Yeah, he's incredible, and so is your running back with Derrick Henry. But you call them the all-getting-off-the-bus team, where just walking off the bus, they look incredible. But this is a team with some skill, too. And it's not just the big bodies. It's Roquan Smith looks healthy. He was criticized in the past for the way he showed up to camp going into 2025. He's rectified that and looks much better going into 2026. You've got Nate Wiggins, who's just an incredible athlete outside. Of course, Kyle Hamilton's one of the best safeties in football.
Kyle Hamilton, we forgot.
Yeah,
I did, at least.
That'll come up.
And then Nnamdi Madubuike is a top 5 defensive tackle who was hurt most of last year. There were questions about whether or not he would even return at any point because of a spinal injury. Sure enough, he's cleared. He's back in the fold. He hasn't done any teamwork yet.
Okay.
But I'm interested to see if he'll do some this week because it's getting close to that point.
What is the thoughts?
So here come the Ravens walking out in those white. Man, the Ravens got sweet uniforms.
Yeah, they do.
And they just redid all of them this year.
No, those look nice.
Man, joint practices are the bomb. Last one.
Yeah, post Harbaugh, okay, it's still Lamar, it's still Henry, etc. Ronnie Stanley, I believe, but reshaping that O-line with some new faces. Post Isaiah Likely, what are we thinking offensively now that Minter's the man in charge and just some new people making different decisions?
Yeah, I think Declan Doyle in his first year as the play caller, he was the offensive coordinator under Ben Johnson in Chicago last year, comes with a fresh new mindset that's going to utilize that read option, the RPO, under center, shotgun. I mean, there are layers to this offense that Minnesota or that Baltimore hasn't seen in a long time. And you talk about Zay Flowers, who's the $140 million man now.
Yeah.
You've got a tight end in Mark Andrews, who's a legend for what he's done, but he's looking to rebound after a down year too. So I think a lot of it's going to rely on some of the youth that pops up. Jacoby Lane has been a storyline in training camp, the rookie out of USC. I think if he can continue doing what he's doing, he could be a solid number 2 or number 3 option for Lamar. And that's something Lamar hasn't had during his time in Baltimore, a true number 1, followed by 2 legitimate wide receivers. They have that in Rashad Bateman. Now you can add Jacoby Lane to the mix and then just figure it out at tight end is kind of the next step, because there's a lot of new faces there. A couple of rookie draft picks. Durham Smythe comes from Chicago, where he was underneath Declan Doyle last year. So it's moving pieces all the way around, but just expect it to look different than it has in the past, because Declan Doyle's coming in with an entirely new mindset.
Ma'am, I love your touchdown call, and I've heard stuff from other places. Did not hear the preseason, but in the simulcast, we all pulled back a little.
Sure.
But I can tell you're going to have a great time. You got a super fun team.
Oh, yeah.
And a rough and tumble division, too. So, I mean, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, with Cleveland and Cincinnati, proximity, everything's so close. And congratulations on the job. By the way, we're here tomorrow, 9 to noon.
Okay.
If you want the 11:25 tomorrow to talk about what we're going to see today, we'd love to have you back.
Let's do it. Let's book it.
Appreciate you, Kyle.
I'll be right back.
That's awesome.
Kyle Youmans, he's the new radio play-by-play voice for the Baltimore Ravens. That guy walking there in the purple. Perhaps you've met him already. Ben Kotwika, former assistant special teams guy here. Salt of the earth, man.
Flew helicopters in the Army as well.
Get to know him. Great guy to know as the Ravens covenant goes.
Fun fact, I know we're getting up to it, but he was my one-on-one interview during the audition process.
Oh, really?
So when I auditioned
That's
for
so
the
sweet.
job, he was the one I interviewed.
Yeah, you're awesome, bud.
They pulled him out of the hallway to do it, too. So it was a last-minute thing.
Couldn't be with a better person. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, God bless you and your family. We'll see you out of practice. Kyle Youmans, play-by-play voice for the Baltimore Ravens. Kevin O'Connell addresses the media around the corner on KFAN.
Make your playlist come alive this fall. Minnesota's audio home.